on any shipment is to ship CIF. Let's say you have a shipment that's not a letter of credit, and Esther locates it locally and decides that she doesn't want it, whether it's under a letter of credit, a documentary collection, or open account. The goods arrive in Egypt, and Esther says, I don't want them. If you know that in advance and the steamship line is working for you, you can call your freight forwarder and you can say, do not clear those goods. Bring them back or send them to another country. You are in control because the steamship line is working for you. You can have them offloaded, put them back on another vessel, and bring them back. If it's under a letter of credit, if you have it insured and you have to bring it back, you will also be reimbursed for that, rather than filing a claim for non-payment. So my recommendation is always to ship CIF. A lot of people say, well, I don't want to ship CIF. It's more expensive. No, it's not. Esther is going to pay for it anyway. If you're short on cash, have her pay all of these expenses up front. If you're quoting her and you need this money because you're going to have to pay it out of your pocket, then you say 15% in advance, balance, net 30 days. That way, you're able to collect this money up front from Esther that you have to pay in order to ship. Another advantage of shipping is that you can pad your shipping costs a bit. Why would you want to do that? Because gas prices go up and down, for one thing. Because incidentals happen that you don't know about, for other things. Because it's generally more expensive for her than it is for you. And finally, because when you quote Esther your price, she's going to compare your price of your product to the price of your competitor's product, but not necessarily the shipping charges. So you can pad your shipping charges, you can pad your insurance to protect yourself against some things that may happen. Let's talk now about air freight shipments. We finally can afford a corporate jet. Comes with pilot and co-pilot. We're very happy. We can store goods inside. What's different about an air freight shipment than an ocean shipment? Well, for one thing, you generally don't have a big truck. You may just have a little truck taking it to the airport. You don't have salt water, and you don't have a boat that goes like this to cause possible damage. It moves quicker. But a big difference is you cannot assign an airway bill to a foreign bank and protect yourself. Ocean bills are negotiable. What that means is they're like a check. If I write a check to you, you can't go and cash it at the bank without his endorsement. If I ship by ocean and I can sign the bill of lading to the foreign bank, Esther can't pick up the goods unless she comes in and gets those documents from the foreign bank. That's not the case with an air shipment. Air freight moves quick. All airway bills are non-negotiable. They are not going to hold the freight. Now, I like to use the term CPT when I'm shipping air. CPT means carriage paid to. You can have CPT, Charlotte Douglas International Airport, or you can have CPT, Cairo, Egypt. You simply name the place where you are shipping to or where you're paying the charges to. Again, if you say CPT, Cairo, Egypt, then Esther knows you're paying the charges up front and billing her. Insurance on air freight, I'm less concerned about because you don't have the handling that you have on ocean freight. With ocean freight, I'm adamant, please insure yourself because you will be the one with the problem if the goods get damaged. On air freight, not so much. Insurance is cheap anyway. I believe that you should insure because, remember, I'm a risk mitigator. I believe you should insure. Charge Esther for the insurance. But I'm not so keen on air freight. So the term on ocean freight, FOB, the term on air freight, CPT, or CIF, and CIP if you're going to cover the insurance on air freight. Now with NAFTA, there's another term that we use for shipment to Mexico or Canada. Certainly you can ship by ocean or air to Mexico and Canada, but most of the freight moves by truck. And what you have in a movement for a NAFTA country is a truck shipment that lines up at the border. A lot of times these will be pre-cleared by the importer's broker when it gets there. But the term that we use, especially with Mexico, is DAF. DAF means delivered at frontier. So you, the exporter, are delivering the goods to the frontier, Laredo or Buffalo, if you're going to Canada. And that's where you're going to pay the freight. Now, customs documents must accompany the truck because they are lined up and they are not going to hold those trucks. If you don't have the customs documents in the truck when it's moving, they will move the truck out of line and the truck will sit there until you get the documents that enable them to clear and move into the country. In Mexico, you actually have to change trucks because we do not have a reciprocal agreement yet where U.S. trucks can go into Mexico and deliver and Mexican trucks can come into the U.S. and deliver. In Canada, we do have that. So if you're shipping yellow freight, for example, and you are shipping to Canada, you can put it on one truck and it can go all the way to the warehouse in Canada. Not so in Mexico. So it's important when you're shipping to Mexico that you know your buyer's broker. Let me speak about credit insurance in relation to shipping to Mexico. One requirement to file a claim with credit insurance is that you have to show, this is exempt credit insurance, that the goods shipped from a U.S. port to a foreign port. Now in Mexico you can't do that because you are going to show that it shipped from a U.S. port either to Laredo or possibly a consolidator. And you won't have documents showing that it shipped from that consolidator or from that port to the warehouse in Mexico. It is extremely important that you have the paperwork from the customs official in Mexico so that if you have to file a claim, you can show that the goods shipped from your factory and were received at her factory. This is part of the education that I do with my clients with credit insurance. We try to help you be proactive in the event that a claim may occur. So, in the event of credit